Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the Jewish New Year and Day of Atonement, are days of judgment and introspection, symbolized among Jews worldwide by the sound of the shofar. This most famous of biblical instruments is a ram's horn turned trumpet, and the man you see here making it sing is Shimon Kainan, one of only a handful of shofar makers in Israel.
I tell people I was born with a shofar in my hand, by which I mean that by age 10 I could blow the shofar. But we didn't have the money to buy one, so I took an oil funnel, stuck a hose into it, and made a shofar. At 18 years old, I was the shofar blower at the synagogue. And after the army, I served 8 years as a shofar blower at 2 synagogues. At the Sephardic synagogue that started service earlier in the day, and then later at the Ashkenazi temple.
But despite a lifelong love for this instrument, it wasn't until later in life that he actually started creating them.
Working for most of his life as a metal worker and a welder, it wasn't until the age of 53 that Shimon finally decided to realize his dream and open Kol Shofar, this amazing factory.
I've been here for 51 years in the Golan, in Givat Yoav. And before some 22 years or so, I decided that I will follow my crazy childhood dream, and I learned how to make shofars. We're one of 3 in Israel, and the only one in the world that opened to the general public for tours and visits. Between 13,000 and 14,000 visitors come, religious, secular, Haredi, and even evangelical Christians.
Now, making a shofar takes precision and care, but it's a fairly straightforward process. First, the horn is cleaned and deboned. Next, the solid tip is clipped off roughly 2 inches from where the hollow inside stops. The thin end is then typically straightened as needed under heat in order to form a mouthpiece with various drill bits. And finally, the horn is cleaned further, sanded as desired, and polished. Moreover, for Shimon, this tactile experience is made more fun as he works in the factory with his children, a dream from which he never tires.
This horn was set to be thrown away. I saw it and said, I'll make it a shofar. I came and cut it and then filled it with water to see it wouldn't leak. And here I have another one. It doesn't look like much, but it makes a great sound. It works. I always challenge myself with all sorts of works. It's never boring. I'm always working.
Religiously, the shofar reminds Jews of the biblical test of Abraham, where he nearly sacrifices his son Isaac, but in the end sacrifices a ram instead. As for blowing the horn, the tradition is based on a little bit of guesswork.
We don't know exactly what sounds were used in the past, whether it was one long sound or many short bursts. Therefore, we have the 3 sounds. Tekiah is the long one, Shvarim, which is 3 blows, and Truah, which is 9 short bursts of sound. This is to cover our bases on all the sounds. We also don't know traditionally how many sounds were made, so we blow 100 times to be on the safe side, so to speak.
Then, to be kosher for religious use, the horn must be free of any ornamentation. That said, there are a wide variety of natural shapes, colors, and sizes that different Jewish communities prefer to use, which takes Kainan and his family all over the Arab world and Africa to source, from Morocco to Namibia, Botswana, and South Africa.
A classic shofar, like I showed you, is naturally curved. 2/3 are hollow after removing the bone. The last third is solid. We straighten that part in order to drill it. This is a classic shofar that works for the Ashkenazim, Sephardim, and most communities.
A Yemenite or Babylonian shofar, in contrast, is not shaped at all, which complicates things. They're also typically much larger.
All the horns are from rams, but for the Yemenite horn, we're using a horn from an 8 to 10-year-old ram, which has a larger sound box. So when we blow it, we get a deeper sound, more bass. A classic shofar, because it has a handle and longer drill hole, it has a higher tone.
Then there are also Eastern European shofars, which are flattened, a callback to how they used to be made in order to smuggle them under coats during the Spanish Inquisition, or even in and out of Nazi concentration camps. Finally, shape aside, making the horn sing is another issue.
The shofar is a primitive instrument, so all the control comes from the blower, and the sounds are limited to the breath.
אז תתאמן, ואחר כך תתאמן על זה. ברגע שאתה עושה את זה, יש לך תקיעה. בסדר?
From Moshav Givat Yoav, for the Media Line, I'm Aaron Boris.